Hey, what's going on, y'all? And Facebook. Hope everybody's doing all right today. Just coming on this live to talk about the survival of the fittest. One thing I can tell you is this: a lot of times we go through very devastating places in our lives. And, coming full circle to some things that really hit you head on. I will be honest in saying sometimes life situations can really knock you out, y'all. I mean, we're not exempt from pain. Just because we serve the Lord does not exempt us from pain, does not exempt us from things that we go through, situations that will come at our lives. And I was looking at this movie, and I think I shared it somewhere about Tom Hanks in the movie Castaway. If you haven't seen it, it's a very good movie. It's about a man that's a business owner, and he just mute that. Okay. A business owner, or I guess he's an employee or owner at FedEx, and he's I guess more so a manager. And as a manager, he is transporting packages through the air like FedEx. And so this one trip where he was traveling, he had a shipwreck or a plane crash, and that left him on an island. Everybody on the plane pretty much died, and he was left on the island, and he was forced to learn how to survive in a situation that he honestly didn't have no skills. This is a guy that came from a city environment, a manager environment, and now he's put on this deserted island where he's the only one there, and having to fend for himself, trying to survive, trying to learn how to obtain food, how to catch food, how to start fire, and basically live at this point. So he's on the island, and he's learning the hard way how to survive until it became a part of the fittest place for his life. So he's scrounging for anything that he could eat, he can't start a fire because he doesn't know how to start one, and he's going through all of these different things to try and learn how to survive at this point. And the situation just keeps getting worse for him the more he's there, and has nobody to help him, all of those things. And so one day he discovers how to start a fire. So he's making progress. Then he learns how to fish. Then he learns how to do some other things that go along with what he needs to do to live at that point. So he finally, over time, he learns how to do everything, and he eventually gets back to land. It's a great movie, Academy Award winning movie. I don't want to ruin the whole movie, but it's a great movie. But I thought about him in our devastating places, the things that really come to destroy us and tear us down, and ultimately cause us to cease from living. A lot of times we may feel like that, like we don't feel like living after a devastating moment. But I'm reminded of that plane crash where he was on an island, and he had a choice to live or to die right there on that island, but he didn't give up. And some of us are in these survival of the fittest places. The reason why it's called that is because the one that's able to endure to the end is usually the one that comes out in victory. The one that usually fights to the end is the one that comes out in victory. So when you run into your devastating place that crashes you, when you run into your place that no longer gives you life, when you run into your plane crash of life, now it's time to decide whether I'm going to survive or whether I'm going to die. When you get put in your isolated place after your devastating loss. You have a choice at that point to live or die, because nobody else is going to save you at that point. Oh yeah, you can call on God. I'm not saying don't call on him. I'm not saying don't pray. I'm not saying don't fast. I'm not saying don't seek God. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that in this place of devastation, you've got to make a decision whether you're going to live to be who you need to be, or you're going to die in this devastating crash. When you start talking about the survival of the fittest, it's about who's willing to do it and make it to the end. When we start talking about survival of the fittest, we're trying to figure out who has the capability to survive even when you have no skill set on where you are. Even when you don't have any inkling or knowledge of the place that's created this devastation. You don't know what's created your plane crash for your life. You don't know what's created your place to be left deserted, to die. You don't know what your situation is in your life that's lead you to a place of devastation to where you feel like you can't live anymore. But now this is the time to decide if you're going to survive. This is the time for you to find where I'm at in my life. Yes, I had a plane crash. Yes, I've been left alone to try and figure this out. But am I going to start trying to gather sticks while I'm stuck on this island? Or am I going to continue to cry about where I am in my life? Or am I going to continue to say, well, God, this is not fair. I didn't deserve this plane crash. Hey, listen, that man did not ask to be in that plane crash. When that plane crashed, he had no control over it. And some crashes in our life, we don't have no control over. Some things that come in our life to devastate us, we don't have no control over. But we are where we are. We are in the place that we're in. So now that you've survived your plane crash and you're left on this island, you didn't die when you should have in the air. You didn't die in the place that you should have died in. Now you're on the island. Now you can't get off the island because you don't know where you are, first of all. You don't know where your situation has brought you to. So you're left isolated by yourself in your situation. Everybody that was with you have died off in the plane crash. Everybody you thought was going with you have died off in the plane crash. It's just you and the island and God. Now you got to decide, am I going to survive? Because even if I don't go to another place in my life, even if I don't go to somewhere else in my life, even if I don't go where I thought I was going to go in my life, I still got to make a decision because I lived beyond what tried to kill me. I still lived beyond where I was and where I thought I was going to perish. So now I have to decide, what am I going to do now that I'm in this place of isolation? What am I going to do now that I've been a castaway? What am I going to do now that I've been left for dead? What am I going to do when everybody that I thought was going with me crashed on me and burned me? What do I do? He started collecting sticks, and he finally figured out how to get a fire started. Oh, he had a little struggle with it. He had to encourage himself because he had a little ball that he called Wilson. And he kept talking to Wilson to keep his sanity. Oh, my God. He kept talking to Wilson to keep his sanity. And sometimes you have to encourage yourself to stop you from going crazy. Who is your Wilson in your life? Well, who do you talk to when you're by yourself? You have to encourage yourself. And he got that fire started and he celebrated because he had finally did something that he had no knowledge of before, but he was able to complete on this side so that he could continue to survive. Survival is one thing, but when you live beyond what you survived from, that's victory. When you live beyond what you survived from, that's victory. I want to encourage you to start picking your sticks up wherever you may be. Start collecting and building your hut, building your fortress, building your place of shelter in the meantime. And while you're in the place that you're in, that you survived from that plane crash, remember this: the race is not given to the swift or the strong, but the one that endureth to the end. This is survival of the fittest. So you have to figure out if it's worth living for. And God brought you from a place of destruction and you survived it, then you can live beyond this too. Be encouraged, be blessed, and be strong.